of yester year. Now, in the month of Sivan, this month marks the Hilula of Rabbi Avraham Shalom Hamvi Z'tl. He was born in English 1838, to be precise, the 26th of November, it's chronicled, and passed away in 1886. Now, according to one source, it said it happened to be the 8th of Sivan, but we're not 100% sure. Over here, seemingly it was in the month of Sivan. So if anyone has confirmation, please let me know. He would go on to become a great Posek Halacha, a rabbi that would render various different Jewish laws. He was a Kabbalist, and he was a journalist also, and an author of many great Torah colossal books. Let's explore a few of the highlights of the great rabbi's life. So he was born in an area called Halab, Aleppo, in Syria, and under that time period, it was under Ottoman rule. His father was a famous rabbi, Rabbi Avraham Hamvi, and his mother was Rabbanit Rachel Hamvi. And I think it happened to be actually the 9th of Kislev, that was a Hebrew date when he actually was born. They were a great family, let's just say, that reported over they descended from the house of David, King David, in of itself, and various different great rabbis they would actually come from. And we mentioned about the Hamvi family, rabbinic dynasty, on various occasions before. I think it was possibly around the year 1864 he got married to his wife. Sadly, I think his wife and child passed away shortly afterwards, within a year or two after that period. That obviously very, very devastating. And this would actually, I don't know if it triggered him to start his travels, but he would start traveling around various different countries, intense travelings, meeting many of the great rabbis of those places. And first of all, I think he would travel to Izmir to learn from the great Rabbi Pelagius, arguably one of the greatest rabbis in Jewish history, especially in the last few hundred years. And I think through it, there'll be the Sefer Sugulot over this point in time. He was really, really diligent learner with regards to it, and would gather much different important material for his books. I think between the years 1866 to 1868, he would go to Jerusalem, if I'm not mistaken, and would really show his brilliance over there, and really meet a lot of great rabbis, and he would live. He was very highly regarded among the various scholars of Jerusalem at that point in time. He would then return to Izmir and publish his Torah work over there in Izmir. Remember, there was a lot of great books. The Sefer HaSkulot Harishon, Ha'ach Nafshanu, I believe. That was, I think, maybe in the year 1870 this was, and became, I think, a famous book. I think he would, at the same time of publishing this book, he would write in various different newspapers and speak about various different medical matters, I think. And he would actually become a guest shortly afterwards in the Sultan's palace over there, and which was very, very interesting enough. He would, I think, become close. Many people would actually see him as a form of inspiration. Even the Muslim people, it's reported over, would actually speak to him and would, let's just say, embrace him. They will question him, and he became very, very much noticed in different spheres in of itself. In Turkey, he would see different, let's just say, robust debates going on within regards to community dignitaries at that point in time. And he would try and speak to the people and try and make peace in various different areas. Now, I think shortly afterwards, he would leave for Livorno to continue his, let's say, Torah work, amassing huge amounts of various different, let's just say, Torah materials in of itself, with his knowledge in of itself, and huge amounts of, just information and amounts in of itself. He would travel around all over the places. Remember, he had a great personality, so he would receive financial support from key figures, especially when he came to Livorno, with regards to his Torah colossal book, which he would actually have printed out. Another thing, I think it was called Devek Ma'ach. I think that was in the 1874. It was actually printed. Ha'ach Nafshenu. This was, we spoke about that just before. The Beit HaBehira, which was in 1875. This was a machzor, I think, for the festival of Passover. It would also be complemented with writing over different laws within regards to this day, specifically itself. And I think it was added to the machzor Beit Ha'am, which was for Shavuot in the 1875. It was made. He would visit various libraries and see the different private book collections, especially in Europe, which was collected, and he would use that for materials for his books, looking at manuscripts for the books. A lot of the collection work was done in libraries in Italy. He would go from Livorno and then return again to Izmir and print his book in Ladino. Remember, that was a popular language at that stage in time, was Ladino in many of these countries, these prominent countries over there. And I think it was called Zachar Asa. This is in 1877. Then afterwards, I think he would actually become, if I'm not mistaken, he would then continue his travelings, I think, over there. He would be offered actually the position of the Chacham Bashi at one stage in time in Yemen, and the position of the rabbi in Gibraltar. Well, he would not, I think, make these offers realized at the end. Possibly, it was reported that he didn't necessarily like the rabbinical positions in of itself, or maybe there was he was concentrating on his community leadership, or was striving in Izmir at that point in time. Now, come with the 1878, he would actually visit Gibraltar, and he would publish another great Torah or colossal work while he was over there in of itself. I think it was Machzor Bet Kel. That was in the month of Elul, I think in 1879. There will be the book called Drash Elohim, another one, which would also delve within regards to great Torah topics in itself. There would be also the beginning of the printing of 2 additional books over here. So you can see there's a pattern where a huge amount of books and printing was continuously perpetuating. It was called Abiyachidot, which was also a Torah colossal work, and the Beit HaKaparat. It was a machzor on tefillah of Yom Kippur, the Day of Atonement over there. And you can see how much was going on. Now, it's actually interesting. His travelings would continue from Livorno, especially North Africa, and various other places. While he was in Livorno, he would then visit several countries, including North African places. I think in July 1879, it was, a famous rabbi would actually go on to stay in Algiers, over there in Algeria, I think in the cities of Oran, near Haran, respectively. And very interesting, there was, I think, anti-Semitic charges at that stage in time that actually came onto him that could lead him to a period in detention over there. And he would actually speak about this, I think, inside some of his travelings and some of his diaries. He would then travel to Morocco, I think coming in October 1879. He would travel through different cities of Morocco. I think Uzan, Meknes, Rabat, Fez, Marrakesh, Malal, Mojador, very much, and especially while traveling through Morocco, he would not ignore, let's say, the situation of the Jewish community over there. It was a turbulent time for the Jewish community over there. He was a curious traveler. He would write and chronicle over what was the lifestyle like over there, the harsh decrees that was put upon the people. And I think, come what the year 1880, he would visit the city of Wazan over there, and would visit, or Uzan, and visit the grave of Rabbi Amram ben Diwan, who was a very great rabbi of his time. And he would become, it's actually interesting, in Uzan, a reputation would be brought within regards to him. They realized the great scholarship, let's just say, and his polemical abilities and his personality. And they actually, I think, would ask him to become the leader of the community, where I think he would actually agree to it and amend a number of regulations, especially when it came to the welfare of the community's poor. I think come on July 1880, he would return to Gibraltar. I think sadly he suffered from an illness at that point in time, which he maybe had for a period of time. I don't think the nature of this illness was known. He was hospitalized in a hospital over there, and he would, I think, write within regards to his time over there. He would, in Gibraltar, translate into Spanish the book called Gevei Yisrael, and I think this was actually done in conjunction with Rabbi Yisrael Gabbai, if I'm not mistaken. Then he would, in 1881, return to Marrakesh, and there's a famous story reported within regards to him bringing rain, like with his tefillot, his brilliance in of itself. And the continuing of traveling will progress. In September 1881, he would arrive in India over there and acquired a respected position in the Jewish community of that country, and really have a great status. He would be hosted by David and Albert Sassoon, who were friends with, had connection with them. I think there was a newspaper called the Perach, which was published in Calcutta between the years 1878 to 1889. It was in Jewish Arabic language, especially used in Baghdad, and much was written with regards to the famous rabbi. He would write on a variety of subjects, I believe, and he would talk about different issues at that point in time that might have divided the Jewish world. There was documentations of his travels in section, let's just say in English called the passenger section, which was in the newspaper's cover over there. And it's very interesting. He would not stay in one place for a long time. He would visit many regions in the Far East and would dedicate a section to, I think he actually went on a conquest to search for the lost 10 tribes. Now, I think maybe it was September 1884, he would now start traveling to various other places also. It's reported over. I believe it would come to a visit to Persia, it will be. He would, he would come to the port of, let's just say, the border of Iran. Over there, he would set out and check with regards to different Persian cities on various different topics, let's just say, that interested him. I think he would try to search for the coin of Mordechai, Hayudi, the great rabbi. He would go to Hamadan over there, and he would find various different ancient manuscripts reported over, religious and philosophical treatises. I think from a man of the name Yehuda ben Eliezer, and he was impressed with various different books over there, and he would return to the city of Abu Shar shortly before his death. Now, I think come December 1884, he would arrive in Baghdad over there, and that would be chronicled over within regards to his travellings in local newspaper. He was close and was a friend of Rabbi Abdallah Samech, who was a famous, let's say, head rabbi of the famous yeshiva Bet Zilka over there. There was a great excitement among the Jews of Baghdad when he came at that time. He was received great honor, especially from the Turkish governor over there, the Wali Pasha. He would, let's say, deliver sermons in the great synagogue over there, and much would actually be related over inside the local newspaper. He would leave, especially in Iraq, a huge impression on the community's dignitaries, and he would be asked to give over various different sermons. He was offered, reported over, a position as Hacham Bashi at one stage in time, and he was able, I think he was vastly good at various different languages, including Arabic, Turkish, Spanish, Ladino. He knew a little bit of French also, and was learning English. So his language spectrum was absolutely brilliant in of itself. He was close to the Turkish governor over there, and would help with in regards to correcting a number of injustices that might have come upon inflicted on the Jewish community at that point in time. Now, it's actually interesting. I think he would famously get into robust debates with Rabbi Shlomo B'Chochutzin, who he himself happened to be a journalist and translator. He had a printing house he was an owner of also. I think he was actually staying in his house, if I'm not mistaken, and it would lead to robust debate, whatever happened. And he would shortly afterwards leave Baghdad. I think September 1885, he went to Marseille now in France. So very interesting. He was able to travel from place to place over there. And I think for a period of time he would be there. He would later travel to Yemen and would have discussions inside this trip dealing with prayer, talking about the topic of blowing shofar on Rosh Hashanah. And I think he would maybe spend some time, if I'm not mistaken, and really, while he was researching, he would read the writings of the famous Rabbi Yaakov Halevi Sapir, the Ibn Sapir, who we've spoken about on various occasions before. He had great connection with the Yemenite community, and much can be said about it. From Yemen, he would then travel to an area of Bushehr. I think it was a province, one of the 31 provinces of Iran, and he would continue progressing his travels over there, and I think he passed away. He was about 47 years of age at the time the famous rabbi passed away. He was a very, very well-traveled rabbi. He left over various different books. We mentioned about it already inside this video a little bit. Let's talk about it again. I think it was printed, I think, from Rabbi Yehuda Shmuel Ashkenazi. And if I'm not mistaken, there was a Bet El, which I spoke about before, which is also comprising laws with regards to slichot. and laws with regards to the Hebrew month Elul. The Beit Din, another book on Rosh Hashanah. The Beit Hashem, which was on the Chag HaShavuot, and various laws of the month of Sivan. The Beit HaBechira, which is on the month of Pesach. And the Beit HaKaporot, which was on Yom Kippur, the Day of Atonement. The Beit Mishteh, which was various matters connecting to the new month, Rosh Chodesh and Chanukah and Purim and Tu B'Shvat. The Beit Simcha, which was a seder of tefillot and various different laws to do with Sukkot. And the Beit Tzom, which was dealing with the four, let's say, fasts of the year, respectively. I think on top of this, various different books, let's just say, would also be enriched in of itself, which we maybe should speak about later on. You can see he authored many books, I think, including the Eviyeh, which is Sigulot, Yakarot, Orach Yesharim, Achitov, various different drushim it was based on, and many, many other writings. So there's so much we can talk on. I recommend everyone to learn more with regards to the famous rabbi. He was about 47, 48 years of age at the time he passed away. He was in the Ottoman Empire and was one of the most well-traveled rabbis, without a doubt, in last couple of 100 years. So please, friends, learn more about him. I think it will be a total of 65 works he writes. Only 15 of these works will be printed and published, if I'm not mistaken. The prayer cycles for the Jewish holidays, as we see, really accompanied and embraced in of itself. It's actually reported over in the 22 years of his travelings, he would visit a staggering 45 cities over there. That's why he was able to write the various different works that he actually did, especially the North African countries, with Algeria, Tunisia, and Morocco. He apparently would spend time in Lebanon, also in Libya, in Gibraltar also, I think in Salonika, especially in 1876. He was also a qualified shochet. I think he received a certificate in Shechita around the year 1873. And he would visit, while especially in Izmir, countries like Austria, Bulgaria, Macedonia, and Romania. So you can see how famous he happened to be. While he was in Jerusalem, just to add on, he would actually study Torah from the great Rabbi Rachamim and Tebi, one of the famous rabbis of his time. So we believe that, according to the source, 8th of Sivan is his Hilul, but it's this month. Learn more about the great rabbi. Please, friends, subscribe to the channel. We're nearing 7,000 subscribers. If you happen to descend from any of the great rabbis we're speaking about, please let me know. I would love to hear more. So wishing you all well. Take care and thanks.